Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. I'm on my own tonight, as the observant among you will notice. No, David. Um, Good to see everybody in the chat. Let's give a shout out to everybody that's here. Yet again, I'm going to have to use my overlay window because the CSS Septopus is still not working in OBS. But we've got David himself. Hello, mate. David's on a social family thing, so he can't be here tonight. We've got Shark, good to see you, sir. We've got Darren Demon Sub. Go and check him out on Instagram. Great painter, really creative. Does all sorts of weird stuff, beautifully photographed as well. Hello, Upworlder, stroke Trevor, and hello because of Ben, stroke Crispin. Good to see you. So yeah, flying solo tonight. Stream may be a little bit shorter. It's always a little bit awkward when I'm on my own. But we'll try and deliver our usual experience. There'll probably be a lot more chat interaction tonight. Because obviously without David to play off and fill the void, I'm gonna have to lean heavily on you guys. So chip in the chat. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. This is our regular Thursday night live stream where we just talk about the tabletop hobby. Our format, we'll do the same as we normally do. First thing, we'll show you what we're going to be working on. Yeah, this is the hypertension friendly, low sodium episode because David definitely brings the salt. Yeah, you could have done Trevor if I never thought to ask. But Tim couldn't be here. I did ask Tim because I thought tonight's main topic might be right up Tim's street. But sadly, I left it till the last minute and Tim had already been roped into a game of battle tech. So hopefully Tim will get his ass kicked, finish early, and then he can come in the chat because he is very much one of the Star Wars aficionados. I think he's very into the lore, the whole IP, plays several of the games. So Tim would have been great to have. Good to see you too, Shaq. Tim would have been great to have on. So we'll cross our fingers he gets his fucking ass kicked in BattleTech, and then we should see. So yeah, we'll follow our normal format. What I'll do is I'll show you what I might be hobbying on tonight. Always more difficult when I'm on my solo to get any hobby done. But you never know. I might get something. Get a brush out and throw some paint around. Then I'll tell you about what I did on Monday night at Gaming Club. Because actually that feeds into the main topic. So I might spend a little bit of time on that. There's quite a few little videos to share in terms of the news. A lot of it's not news, but it's more a snapshot of what I've been looking at on the internet and YouTube mostly this week, and what's caught my attention and what's been on my mind in the gaming hobby. And then around 9 o'clock, things are all up. The timeline's very informal tonight with me being on my own. But around 9 o'clock, we'll get into our main topic, which is the Star Wars IP and tabletop gaming and the way it's being managed by Final Fantasy Flight Gaming and Atomic Mass Games, who are more the tabletop side of it. I think the card games of that still are done through Fantasy Flight. So yeah, we'll talk about the snipers stuff for bolt action. Shark, don't worry, we'll get around to that. Welder says Civ 7 dropped. Yeah, not for me. So let's go to the desktop for a start, and let's show you what we're going to be working on. So welcome to my desktop. Now I have pretty much finished. Let's get some. I have pretty much finished my lawmen for so these are the lawmen models for the first edition of Wild West Exodus, the starter set that came out when the game was launched. It had Lawmen versus Outlaws. This is, I think this is Wyatt Earp. This is the sculpt that came out in the kit. So I've done him in like an American red, white, and blue thing. I still might attempt some American Eagle head freehand here, depending on how much time I want to put into this. But these guys are mostly done. I literally just have Doc Holliday left, who's had sort of like I've made a start. So I've used this sort of denim colour, which is model colour blue-grey. It's come out rather nice as a denim for the trousers, and I've used the same blue as I used on the shirts for the lawmen there, which is the model colour dark blue. Just show that off. So I think, again, I'm going to stick to a very similar palette to the other guys, just move the colours around because I want them to seem unified as a force. I know that it's really quite difficult to read the sculpt without the paint on it. But essentially, I'm going to take the blue up onto the shoulders. I was initially going to do the shirt in a two-tone, but I've thought about it and I'm not. I'm going to keep it all one colour. And then he's got in the artwork, he has like a waistcoat, which is done in like a cream colour. So I'll probably reproduce that. And then I'll use, because I did light gloves on Wyatt here, I'm going to take the darker brown, which is the olive, I think it's olive brown, on these guys, which I used for the boots, and I'm going to use it for his hat and gloves. So it's sort of keeping, again, hot tip, guys, when you're doing these painting projects, if you are painting armies, don't go mad. Don't feel you've got to use every single colour you own. Build a palette and then just move it around. You can generate enough interest without... David says, I'm not playing until that freehand is done. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. If you get your models painted, then you can carp. Ooh... Texas Rangers. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, Shark. I'll look at that. But then if they have a really cool uniform or dress that's going to make me regret my choices here, then that's bad. So now, so yeah, everybody's done except for the basing. So this is going to be US Field Drab and one of the Geek Gaming Scenics products just slapped on, black rims, bang, job done. But this is the one model to finish. So if I do any painting tonight, I will be doing this. I tell you one thing. Here's a thought. Input on your opinion, guys. So these jeans, for want of a better phrase, are really weird in that it looks like this lower leg part is actually completely separate. And a lot of the people who've painted the models online have done two different colours for the jeans and the bit at the bottom, so they've used different shades of brown. I wondered whether to actually just do it the same denim colour and then pick out the stitching, because there's actually decorative, again, virtually impossible to see because it's so small. There is decorative stitching, go on focus, on these lower parts. So what do you think? Same colour or paint them as a separate colour? Because they are definitely part of the trouser and not the boot. Or is this a thing? Because again, and I know this is all a make-believey game, but has anyone ever seen cowboys where their trousers are two different materials stitched together at the knee? Was that a thing? Maybe some of you American guys could tell me whether that was actually a thing. I mean, again, yeah, that's what I thought. Because I mean, chaps were a thing, weren't they? So cowboys did wear chaps over the leathers, but they were full leg covers made out of a soft leather. And that's not what this is. That is, so yeah, you're from Texas, aren't you, Crispin? So like these trousers, the way they are modelled, it's like there's two materials stitched together. There's like a top material, and then the lower leg is made out of a different material, and it's like got a stitch line that runs around. Now, is that a historically accurate thing? Did did it in the 1800s? Did sort of cowboys have like leathered bottoms to their trousers for wear or for comfort when riding, or is this just a random modelling thing that somebody did? Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Crispin, but chaps are like an overgarment that you wear over your trousers on the front of your legs and the outside of your legs, correct? Or or was the concept of chaps way more flexible historically, and actually you could like have jeans with leathered patches that were chap-like? Yeah, that's what I figured it was, like an artistic license thing. By the way, hello to Cheese Me. Just saw you pop in there, sir. Yeah, yeah. I think what I'll do is I will go with my gut instinct and paint them the same, but do like the lines and the stitching almost of some sort of like embroidery. Like because obviously if this guy's got fancy trousers, then maybe it's got some. Oh my god, assless chaps. No, we're not doing assless chaps. So that basically that's what I'm planning. This model is my next thing to work on, and it's not terrain, but we're just winging it tonight. And if I get it done, this is what I'm painting next. So I obviously painted a couple of my Gotham City Chronicles Batman miniatures for okay, Big Iron by Marty Robbins. Noted Shark, thank you. Uh, these are so the Gotham City Chronicles. I've painted a few of the character models, but what I need to really do is get my fucking finger out and start painting the actual goon models, the more the run of the mill guys. So I have taken and primed everything I need for scenario 1. So we've got goons with crossbows, goons with like pieces of chain, we've got goons with like Uzi pistols. So obviously this is one of my next painting projects. When I get this Wild West Exodus done, then I'm going to be tackling that because I want to play the game. Because again, it's a game I've owned for years, backed on the Kickstarter, own a ton of stuff, and it's never seen table time because I'm holding myself to the painting it. So it's the first scenario for the Gotham City Chronicles board game, Cheese Me. So it's the one by Monolith, I want to say. It was absolutely notorious back in the day for having a god awful rulebook. So, but yeah, as I say, I've backed. They've done 3 waves of Kickstarter now. I got everything pretty much from wave 1. I missed out on wave 2. But I backed Wave 3 because Wave 3 was they did the Gotham City role-playing game, plus some more miniatures of solo mode, some special missions for the board game. I'm not interested in the RPG. Playing a Gotham City RPG seems a weird thing to me, and it doesn't really float my boat. So I didn't back that, but it did allow me, the Kickstarter did allow me to pick up a couple of new sprinkles for the board game, and I can I also was able to put the Wave 2 stuff that I missed on the Pledge Manager. So that's a ton of new characters, a ton of new missions. There's like an adversarial mode where you basically just beat the shit out of each other with superheroes and villain models and don't really use the grunts. Almost like almost like a miniature skirmish sort of superhero mode for it. So, do you know what? I agree. Cheese me. I played a superhero RPG back in the 80s that I actually enjoyed, but generally superhero RPGs for me fall flat. Because they're really difficult to do. Because obviously the characters are so overpowered by the nature of what it is. Um, it's really tricky to do, and as I say, this one really didn't capture my imagination. I was like, yeah, I don't want to play as a person in the Gotham universe. I just want to play games with Batman and the Penguin and the Joker, and I just want, that's what I want. I don't want to play fucking random street urchin number 6. It's like, why? In the shitty world of Gotham. Just me, maybe, but no, didn't capture my imagination at all. So yeah, if we do any hobby tonight, that's what we're going to be doing. But I tell you what, we're going to do first. We're going to light our pipe. Now, I would have had a beer, but I was a git and drank the last one last night, so I might go and get myself a Coke, but if I do, I'll put the BRB up. I'll be right back. Yeah, that was the other thing that, again, cheese me, the whole sort of like, again, with, you guys know me. I love innovative, clever mechanics, and I watched some of the videos on the Kickstarter, and I was like, yeah, no, not too bothered. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Shark, you can dip your toe into too many ponds, mate. If you're not careful, you end up getting nothing done. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is when I get this put up onto the project system for on tabletop, is I'm gonna put my recommendations for which characters or models in the Night Models Batman miniatures game that you can proxy some of these dudes for, because the Batman miniatures game now runs on a great Android and iPhone app with all of the cards and assets. It's all available to print from Night Models. So if you have a shit ton of Batman themed models, you can play the game pretty much for free. So as I say, one of the things I will do when I put up is try and find put suggestions for what you could proxy these models for in the Batman miniatures game, because again, that's a great game. I haven't played anywhere near enough of their 3rd edition, because with Batman turned a bit of a corner between 2nd and 3rd edition and went to a very card-based objective system, which works quite well. I liked 2nd edition, and that's the one I've got most of the stuff for, like the campaign book, which was amazing. But 3rd edition's good. I saw that, cheese me, the Arkham Asylum board game. Was that Monolith as well? Again, didn't really capture me. Oh, Darren. Darren saying no apps in games, unclean. Do you know what, mate? I'm pro apps. The thing with a game that does a lot of paper-based assets, so we'll come to it later. Here's a thing. One of the problems with the Star Wars games that all came out of Fantasy Flight is that we had a lot of unique cardboard assets, tokens, unit cards, that sort of shit. And the problem then is when you update editions, as they did with X-Wing, and they change the format of the cards, they change the rules of the cards, you got a shit ton of assets that you then need to replace or update or change. Apps are a great way to do that, to be honest. So I know what you're saying, but even if you don't use the app, okay, it's a bit laborious. You can actually, because again, here's another pro tip for somebody who, like Darren, hates apps in games. The apps just give you the core stats. So what I've done with a lot of games is I create myself custom unit cards in any spreadsheet program, Google Sheets, OpenOffice, Calc, Excel. You can create yourself a unit card and just transcribe all the crap from the app onto the card. And then print them off. I mean, I've done it for my Malifaux. Malifaux, for anybody who plays Malifaux unit cards or Malifaux model cards are like this size, but they're like 100 mil. And the font is like fucking 6 point on these, because they've got the art at the top, a shit ton of text on the front, a shit ton of text on the back, and I'm afraid my old eyes are beyond using things like this. So what I've done is transcribed it all, or made versions of them and then blown them up to A5. Because it's just too small for my middle-aged and old eyes. So what we got going on in the chat? Hello, Chris. Again, Cyberpunk. Meh. I don't know, Cheese Me. It's not a genre that really grabs me. Yeah, it looks like spam's on that, Shark. Yeah, David's getting a battering for letting me down. But putting his social life first, putting his family first. I mean, what the fuck? Oh dear. Game found. Okay, yeah, I passed then. Cheese me. Don't know. So what else we got? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I totally get it. I'll be honest, where I draw the line is tracking games on apps. I'd much rather print my cards and mark off damage and that sort of thing. Funnily enough, the only game I have not done that with is Infinity, because Infinity is such a crunchy game. Being able to click on the screen and go through to the wiki to read the rules, I end up doing that so much. So it's like, oh, what does a gizmo kit do? It's not like, beep, and you need to go through and read the rules for how to use it. I do that so much. I thought, well, there's no fucking point me doing noddy sheets, because I'll just be constantly on the bloody wiki anyway. So I may as well just bite the bullet and use the app. Yeah, that's what I do, Darren. I just take it. Oh, okay. So Night Models who do the miniatures game are doing that, the Arkham Batman game as well. Interesting. Tell you one thing that I haven't seen any details on as well is Night Models skirmish Game of Thrones game. Because that I wanted to get. I'll have to look. I haven't seen any news on it, so I don't know if it's dead in the water or what. But yeah, I'll have to check that out and see if it's still a thing that they're planning on doing. So let's just change this up here. So, just bear with me. That needs to be larger. That looks better. Switch that off. Yeah, so Monday night, what do we do at club? Well, Monday night at club, I played Shatterpoint. Now we watched a little demonstration game at Diceni this year, in Norwich, and I also had a little bit of a taster game. We were a bit pushed for time, but one of the Tom, who comes to our gaming club, one of the young lads, he had it set up because I think he was playing a game with his brother, and they'd finished. So I jumped on. I can't remember what I'd been doing before, but we finished sort of early, and I jumped on and had a quick mess about with it. And so, but this time we did it properly. Bless him, Dan, who comes to our club, has been very unwell, and he still wasn't well enough to come. So I had a game planned with Dan, so I just had to reschedule at the last minute, and we booked in to play a full game of Shatterpoint. So this was, we were using two. The one thing that I don't like about Shatterpoint is the terminology is so specific. So I think individual models are called characters. The number of characters that make up a card are a unit. Then the number of units that match, like primary, secondary, and supporting, make a force or something. And then there's another term for like having multiple forces make up your army or whatever it is. So, but basically we were playing with two forces each. So I had the Mandalorian guys, led by Darth Maul. These sort of evil Mandalorian people. Again, I don't know really any Star Wars lore beyond Return of the Jedi, so you'll have to pardon me. I was running them, and the other model set I had was a bald Jedi woman with I don't even know what. Oh, with robots, with the guys out of the prequel movies, the robots, the droids, whatever it was. Yeah, they do shark. Tim would definitely be correcting my Star Wars butchery here. But anyway, do you know what? I said it at Dicini. Yeah, B1s, that's it, Cheese me, you got it. You could just about see. I didn't take any close-up shots because we really dialed into the game. As I said when I looked at the game at Dicini, I really liked the look of the game. Now, yeah, Roger. Yeah, I think that is an ability on one of the cards. Yeah, to be fair, they didn't. They did all right. Bless them. I like the look of Shatterpoint when I saw it at Dicini. Now I've played it, I'm probably going to buy some. I was talking to Tom after the game, so we did play very long. We literally finished at like 9:45. So bearing in mind we only played two struggles, which is like 2/3 of a game. Because you basically play best of three, so you could potentially play three struggles with one. Somebody winning 2-1. As it was, I won 2-0 because I won the first and second struggle. But yeah, it's not cheap. I think though, to be fair, Cheese me, you just need to buy two and then you're done. Yeah, it's word salad again. Everything's got its terminology. So you have rounds within struggles. But they've done some. I mean, it's like you can buy a Return of the Jedi kit, which has got like Luke with his Return of the Jedi blacks, plus Leia dressed as the bounty hunter, whose name I can't remember, with the weird orange face mask when she was hidden in Jabba's palace. So that they have got some miniatures that I would like to buy. I probably will just. It'll be one of these games. I was saying to Tom after I played it, I could get excited about painting those era models, like anything from Star Wars Empire or Jedi. I could get excited about painting them up, no problems at all. Um, so, like, if I can find, I would probably start by buying a couple of boxes. I'd like to do Empire, but I looked at there's a cool Vader Stormtrooper box, but then there really isn't anything to add to that. Um, but yeah, that's it. Episodes 4 to 6. Um, Trev, there is although apparently they're bringing in a Hoth set, so that'll be the Hoth troopers and some officers presumably from that. But if I can't find 2 Empire boxes I like, I'll probably start with Rebels and do like the Jedi box plus something else. I didn't really want to do Ewoks. The Ewoks apparently are quite OP in the game. And they're all right, but they're just a bit cheesy and corny. But I'll probably do something. I almost certainly will be buying some. Is the TLDR of it. As I say, we went very long because it was a learning game. First full game I'd played. I really. The other thing is, although I enjoyed this game, I do have one concern with it, which I'll light my pipe and then I'll tell you. Now, my concern with Shatterpoint as a game is, no, funnily enough, it isn't actually cheese me. The tokens are fine. All Fantasy Flight games are a bit cardboard heavy, and the tokens, the thing is with the tokens, I don't mind tokens when they give you a unit card to put all of that crap on. When you have to put it on the table, then I get really triggered. But all of the cardboard assets can be kept off of the table so that the table keeps clean. You just need to keep everything on your card. So the cardboard tokens and the statuses, I'm fine with. My discomfort with the game comes from the randomness. Okay, now, to clarify that, in a lot of games there are processes that are randomized. So there's dice for combat, dice for attacking, dice for defending. Fine, whatever, that's okay. But in this game, for me, 2 things are randomized that really detract from the strategic nature of the game and make it a bit of a fucking hit 'em and hope. So when it's basically it's an alternating activations game where each player does one. You have a deck. All of your units are represented by cards which get shuffled into a deck. Then you turn the top card of that deck over and it tells you which model you are going to activate. Okay? Now, people who play a lot of this game will no doubt be putting in the comments later on YouTube. But yeah, it isn't. There is ways to mitigate the randomness, and yes, there is, because there's the Shatterpoint card that means you can activate anything, even if it's already been activated once, and you get one of those in your deck. There is also when you turn a unit card over, you can pay a force to basically put it in reserve. So you're going to say, oh, I've turned over my B1 droids. I don't want to activate them now. I want to activate them. Say, for example, you've got a combo where you need 2 models to be within like range 4 of each other. That's another thing that I could fucking the range rulers. Just say 6 inches, 8 inches. Just let people use tape measures. For Christ's sake. What? Ugh. Some games require movement widgets. Car games, spaceship games, where you've got like weird angular turns and you need to make sure that if your models require some form of restricted movement for realism, so whether they are ocean-going vessels, spacecraft, cars, things that can't turn on a tenpence and change direction, movement widgets are essential to your game, and when well executed will actually make your game. If your game is infantry models that essentially have the ability to walk freely wherever they want to go, just use a fucking tape measure. Please God. What is it with movement rulers and widgets? Just stop. It's completely unnecessary for game design. And if it's an accessibility thing and you're saying, oh, well, yeah, but people won't use tape measures, I call you a fucking liar. I want to see the fucking data from the bloody focus group that said, oh yeah, do you know what though? Nobody likes really using tape measures. Fuck off. Anyway. That is something else that pisses me off, but I don't have a concern that it makes the game not a game. It just seems fucking unnecessary and stupid. So coming back to this deck, so you randomize the order you activate the units. Now that's sort of good because you can't just say, for example, you do have combo units. You can't automatically say, oh, well, I'm going to activate this, then this, then this, then this, and daisy chain the same bullshit effect, turn after turn after turn after turn. It's like, yeah, I do this, and then I do it again, and then I do it again. So I can see what they were going for with the deck, where they wanted to mitigate that, so that you don't get people building stupid model combos and then just running them like a machine and smashing their opponent in the face. But there is another thing that's randomized, which is more problematic, or when coupled with the first thing, creates a bigger issue. So I believe in most of the cards, the struggle cards, so essentially it's played over 3 turns. The turn 1, all of the objective tokens are all worth the same amount of points. They're all worth 1 point. So at the end of each model's activation, you count how many objectives you're controlling and you score so many points. So like at the end of I activate one model and I'm sitting on one objective, I score 1 point. After I've activated 3 or 4 models, after the 4th model I check and I've now got 2, so I scored 1, 1, 1 and 2. So you're constantly racking up points all the time, and the score tracker is a tug of war. So you score 2, your opponent scores 2 and pulls it back. You score 3, your opponent scores 2 and pulls it back. So that works quite well. But after the first struggle, from struggle 2 and 3 onwards, you have what's called a priority objective. Now, bearing in mind the game that we played, initially in the first struggle there were 5 objectives that were active. Then that went down to 3 for struggle 2, and one of them is the priority objective and is worth double. So that means that there's a potential for 4 objective points on the board. Okay, and the problem is that after every single model has finished activating and you've counted up your points, you roll a dice and you change the priority objective completely randomly. So it's possible that you flip a card, you roll to see which is the priority objective. Oh, it's the one in the far left corner. Which model do I get to activate? Oh, it's one in the bottom right corner. Well, that's fucking useless to me because I want to score 2 points off that this turn. I better put it in reserve and I'll flip another card. Oh, fuck. This one's still in the bottom right corner. And the way that again, dynamic objectives, brilliant. I get why you would put that into the game, but dynamic objectives plus totally unpredictable activation order, for me, does not give a satisfying gaming experience. Now, it wasn't unpleasant, but it turns the game, for me, you're very much keeping Shatterpoint, for me at the moment, in the beer and pretzels category, because there is so much that could go fucking wrong with this. Where you roll on the dice and the same fucking objective is priority activation after activation after activation. I mean, this is how I won the game, frankly, because the priority objective just fell on objectives I was dominating. So 3-1 on one, and then the only model with nobody near me in another case. So because that dice just kept rolling my priority objective, I was able to yep, I win by one more point, so I'm just pulling the game away from you. But did I have fun? Yeah, I did. I liked the game. For me, it captured, again, I like the fact that stuff's quite survivable. I like the fact that models don't just drop when you sort of use harsh language with them. I like the fact that it is a very movement based game. So actually, a lot of what I'm saying here is based on one play. Although I've played a lot of games, if I replayed this multiple times, I might become cleverer at strategizing, so spreading my forces out, keeping options open on every objective, avoiding myself being outnumbered, keeping people in positions where they can move and redeploy depending on what the dice does. I can see a scenario where you would get better at that. But because of the way the game works, you're only going to cycle through your activation deck probably 3 times over the whole game. And I do think that there are going to be points where you're like, I just don't need you right now. Why the fuck have I flipped you? That is so annoying. So yeah, again, I think if either one was random, it would probably work a lot better. But having both random didn't really gel with my sort of thought process. But not, what's the takeaway? I enjoyed the game enough. I'm probably going to buy some models. And like I said to Tom, I am not going to be an advocate for it. I won't be buying the starter set. I'll be buying myself some models so that I've got assets to have in the game. So if somebody says, do you want to play Shatterpoint? I'll be like, yeah, I've got some shit. Let's just play Shatterpoint. I'll buy myself a dice pack because, again, obviously custom dice, which means it's a pain. But yeah, as I say, good, but not brilliant. So yeah, that was what I did on Monday at club. Now then, what have you guys been saying in the chat while I've been rabbiting on? Cheese Me says it makes Games Workshop look affordable. They are expensive. But again, you only need to buy a couple of boxes. For me, in my head, as long as if you get the completionist collector bug, Jesus, you're going to be bankrupt. But if you just say, oh, I'll dip my toe into that, I'll buy a couple, and then, do you know what I mean? I've got some lovely models, and it's manageable. It's manageable. The entire Rebels crew. Yeah, I mean, you will. I think the games are designed to work around two uh, forces or whatever the fuck they're called. So yeah, you do need to buy two full boxes. And again, a word of caution, like I could probably buy two or three or four different Rebel boxes, and then I can take a primary from box one, a secondary from box two, a supporting character from box three, and build a wombo combo. There are army building and list building elements to it, and I'm sure if you get swallowed, if you start chasing that meta, I bet it gets hellishly expensive to be. Well, what you really want to do is you want Grievous plus this, so you got to buy that box, and that box, and that's that force, and then you've got to buy that box, and you can take that. Yeah, you'd be like hundreds and hundreds of pounds in just to put a fucking basic force together. But I have absolutely no intention of doing that. Um, yeah, I noticed Darren said he's hobbying on some alien xenomorphs. So where are your xenomorphs from, Darren? Are they the Prodos ones, or are you doing, or is it the what are they called? They do Glorious Day in the Core. What's the name of the company, guys? Um, this right, we're going to go down a rabbit hole here, Shark. Galforce 9, thank you very much, Darren. Yeah, he's got the Galforce 9 ones. Cool. Um, so, Paul, what kind of tobacco? I'm a Condor man, mate. I liked the long cut, but they've discontinued the long cut because it was a gorgeous moist tobacco. Now I'm the ready rubbed, obviously, for pipe smoking. The pipe itself is just a standard. It's by a company called Hawk, I think. I buy a lot of their pipes. They do replacement bowls and separate stems. So this is just a medium-sized ceramic lined applewood bowl. The ceramic liner means that they last longer. You don't get the flavour from the wood while you're smoking, but you know, Condor's quite a dominant tobacco, so it tends to swamp a lot of stuff anyway. Condor Man was an extremely weird film. Yeah, it was. So that's club night. Well, let's talk. Should we go to the web browser and see what things we've pulled up? Um, so what have we seen on the internet this week, Paul? Well, I'll tell you the first thing we've seen: an absolute shit ton more negativity on Games Workshop. Um, I'm just saying, guys, Games Workshop are pissing people off at the moment. Uh, this was um, this was not a big YouTuber. This is just a little channel called Pulsegate Gaming. He's only got just over 1.25 thousand subscribers. So obviously massive compared to our channel, but not big in the scheme of things. But again, you know, it's quite a good video because he says I actually quite like a lot of their stuff, but I'm struggling to find people now who've got a good thing to say about the game. Everybody's finding it the same. Their games are expensive, they're complicated, they're fucking hard work. Um, do you know what I mean? I tell you one thing that I do wonder about. I know that Games Workshop have posted like record profits. Their last financial statement, I believe, pretty much broke every record that the company has had. And they are absolutely smashing it. Now, you can't argue with numbers, and obviously their stuff is priced so highly, and the margins are so colossal. It can't be difficult to run them profitably, but still to be breaking 5 years, yeah, more like 50 years, Trevor. Um, uh, I don't know. what I can't in my head mesh together is all of the negativity, because I get what you're saying. I think it was Cheese Me was saying social media negativity. I get what you're saying, mate, that a lot of this is like, it's as sure as night follows day. People will either put super positive clickbait or super negative clickbait, and once you start down a rabbit hole, YouTube will just keep feeding you the same crap over and over again. But it's like I said in a couple of weeks ago, there are even relatively big channels like the Painting Phase did quite a negative GW stream, 2 hour stream. Trapped Under Plastic, who are referenced by Pulsegate here, theirs was a pretty much, we quite like GW, but fucking hell, this pisses us off. And I'm seeing more of it. I'm seeing more of it. What, as I say, the thing that I'm wanting or waiting to see is how this, because what I can't work out is why they've been so damn successful and yet people haven't got a fucking good word to say about them. That's the bit I can't get my head around, and I might be being a bit of a tit and being a bit of a moron, but I don't get that. I don't get how there can be so much negativity and yet people are like, oh yeah, but we love it. We'll give you all of our money, but you're assholes. I don't get that. No, I don't. Yeah, I mean that's it. Cheese me. That is obviously the thing. I mean, we've discussed it on the stream before, and they've had X Games Workshop people say on public forums like the Painting Phase podcast and that Games Workshop basically want you for 2 years to bleed you dry, and then they expect you to go away. Because they had a guy on who was one of their product design people, and he described the funnel. All Games Workshop want to do is keep feeding new people into the funnel, and by the time you get 2 years in, they're sort of like, their sales data and their sort of customer data shows that after 2 years you've been bled dry, you can't afford it anymore, you're annoyed with some aspect of their products, either the constant hamster wheel recycling, the games being unstable and a chore to play, but there's something, or the fact that there's just you come across better games, unfortunately. So they've definitely got this model where they expect 80% or whatever of their customers to fuck off after 2 years and find something else to do with their time and money because they're burned out or sick of it. And I guess that's what they're doing, and it's making them a fucking ton of money, but it seems miserable and cynical to me. So I don't know. Let's talk about something a bit more positive. Bolt Action, they're still dropping these intelligence reports over on Warlord Community every week. I think these come out on a Wednesday. So this one was yesterday. This one's basically about snipers. I really like the rules in this one. This is the first update for the 3rd edition where I can totally say everything here makes sense. This is all really good. So what they've done is they've basically taken away the sniper's ability to remove any model from a target unit when it goes on scope. And now the only thing you can selectively remove are leaders. And this makes perfect sense, because if you shoot the guy who's shooting the LMG or running the machine gun, the bloke next to him will just push his body out the way and then sit there and shoot the machine gun. Like, troops would, oddly enough, everybody in a unit probably learn to handle the LMGs on the range. You know, it wasn't a sort of like you didn't get your scout badge that said I can fire the LMG. It's sort of like, no, it doesn't make any sense. However, you know, the leadership thing, that was a thing. You know, taking out leadership models was an effective military strategy, is an effective military strategy, and it makes total sense. Um, they they they've teased some information in this that morale checks for might work a little bit differently, which is cool. They haven't really given the full details, but basically they keep making a big thing, like when they're talking about snipers removing weapon teams, and you know, if you pass your morale check for taking 50% casualties, almost is like, you know, you might not passing morale check. So whether there's going to be a load of new factors that make it not a typical order test, but a morale test is harder to pass, it 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 has basically, it generated a bit of interest there. As I say, quite a limited little article. It doesn't really cover anything else, just snipers. But I think they are something that the meta and the people in the game said wanted fixing, because a lot of people were like spamming them. Um, yeah. So Shark says all the old GW talents have gone to other companies like Warlord, Perry, Vitrix, and so on. I think they have bled a lot of talent. And I can understand why they would, because I think the problem is as well, Games Workshop now very much have a culture where you're not an individual, you're just part of the team, and the you know, Games Workshop is the only name that people want. They want people to have on their tongue. Um, I suspect it does too. Cheese me. I suspect that they do recycle people quite a lot in Games Workshop. Um, no Salt Shaker today. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I think as I say, I have concerns that the game. I have concerns that COD bolt action might be more killy, and one thing that worries me about a bolt action is I want bolt action to still um bolt action buffing Cypress. Yeah. I think I agree with you, Shark. Snipers need to have a clear battlefield role, but I love the fact. I think the fact that they're now like, you know, you kill the leaders, you basically kill the you undermine morale by taking out the senior models, makes more sense than, oh, I've just shot your LMG, so now you have no LMG in that squad. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Um, um, no, I totally get that, Cheese Me, and I'll be honest, I would be perfectly happy to play second edition bolt action, just like I play older versions of Warhammer Fantasy and other games. I am very much not somebody who's obligating myself to play a new edition. As I say, the thing that concerns me about it is I want the game to still be about the pin markers, morale, and the order tests, and I don't want the game to be about model removal. We already have loads. We already have 40k. If you want a game where basically the only fucking game in town is just killing shit fast, you know, alpha striking if you can and removing your opponent's entire army in about 2 turns, then I have a game that does that. I don't want bolt action to become that. Um, Again, they've clarified that the snipers ignore the cover save rule, so the whole bringing in the cover saves to, which again, I sort of said, well, why don't you just make it a modified wound roll, whatever. Um, they've sort of like, at least now we can see why they might have gone down the save route, because now they can, although it did say this at the time, so it's like, they can now have things that ignore saves or modify saves. So it's just another tool in the toolbox to leverage probability against and create differentiation. Exactly. And I think they even say in the article that there's this sniper's mantra, which was like always kill the shoutiest one, and it like makes total sense, take out the most senior officers, just kill them from the top down. And it makes total sense militarily speaking. What else have we got? This is a really interesting video. So, Lords of War Games and Hobbies. These guys are friends of Ash Barker, Guerrilla Miniature Games. Um, uh, um, yeah, but again, bolt action, because bolt action, this is why bolt action works. So, Cheese Me says, when you're rolling d6s, you need something to push the odds without overcomplicating things. This, for me, right, I totally agree that the d6 mechanic, a d6 based game, is really quite limited in terms of its range and scope. The only real way to do d6, in my humble opinion, is to do a dice pool system where you increase or decrease the number of dice you're rolling and increase and decrease the target number, etc. So you're doing both things in parallel to modify the probabilities in different directions. So you're rolling more or less dice looking for a different number. When you're just rolling a single dice against a target number in a d6 system, it starts to become very restrictive. But what I said before about bolt action is the dice are the bolt action's core mechanic for me has always been pin markers and the effect of pinning and attrition on the effectiveness of the troops. So for me, that's the thing with burrows and badgers, Trevor, is that it's not a d6 based system. What burrows and badgers do is you scale the dice. So you go d4, d6, d8, d10, d12, and you move up and down the dice scale and modify the target number, which widens your probability ranges out hugely. When you've just got d6s and a target number, it's a different kettle of fish. And to be fair, even Games Workshop's model, see, the way Games Workshop get around it with 40k and AOS is you roll a d6, then you roll a d6, and then you roll a d6. So you end up rolling the same dice 4 times to get the outcome of an action. But as we discussed on a previous stream, the problem with probabilities, like when you need to roll a 3 to hit and a 4 to wound, the probability of the outcome is the same as a 4 to hit and a 3 to wound. You have the same number of successes. So actually it doesn't matter how many dice rolls you put in and what numbers the order doesn't matter. If it's 3, 3, 3, 3, it doesn't matter whether you're 3 to hit, 3 to wound, 3 to save. That becomes all you're arbitrarily doing is rolling a dice 3 plus 4 times. And that's the problem I have with Games Workshop system, is that their answer to anything, oh, well, we need to create differentiation. Let's roll more dice. Let's re-roll those dice. No, we just roll too many fucking dice in Warhammer as it is. All it is rolling dice. Drives me nuts. Anyway, let's come back to this one. This is a great video because basically these two guys from Lords of War Games and Hobbies, Jay and I can't remember the other guy's name, they discuss why Malifaux basically died in Canada. So Malifaux is basically a done deal in Canada, and it's a really interesting video that goes into how you can basically screw your distribution model, piss off the retailers who are supposed to be selling your game and recruiting players, use bad planning between editions to almost bankrupt your own company. There are so many nice little snippets in this video that I had to recommend it, particularly if you like me and you're interested in like the bigger discussion around tabletop wargaming as a hobby and a business and, you know, a community. Yeah. That's the other thing. The rules bloke cheese me. Um, well, yeah. This is another great video from. We've had Lords of War. Let's have the man who sort of like is their sort of like I guess YouTube mentor and great friend, Ash Barker. His channel keeps going from strength to strength. Here, Ash sits down and has a chat with one of the guys in that last video, not Jay, but the other guy whose name I can't remember. Chris, I think he might be Chris. He sits down and has a chat with Chris about why Games Workshop are now releasing bad starter sets. And again, if you like me with a mind of that's interested in the wider hobby in the industry and that sort of thing, great video. And again, they discuss why X-Wing was so successful. And you know what? It made me reflect watching this video again. X-Wing outsold 40k. It was the first tabletop miniatures game to outsell 40k pretty much ever. And it outsold 40k for well, they say Assault on Black Reach is the last example of what they would call a good set. But watch the video because it's really interesting, cheese me. But they go into detail. They discuss why basically X-Wing was just absolutely smashing it, and a lot of it was the starter set that basically gave such an X-Wing such a massive shove out the gate that they were able to overtake 40k. The problem was the IP meant that the game died, and 40k had the legs to just keep going through. But that's a whole nother discussion, the limitations of third-party IP games and that sort of thing. This was an interesting one that David sent me. So again, this is an anti-GW article. Basically, there's a bloke who got so fucking sick of Age of Sigmar's tournament scene and what a load of shit the game was that he decided to build his own game. So if you're interested, you can read the article, which is over here on wargamer.com, and check out Riftway Cataclysm, which is his answer to basically playing with your AOS models or 40k models, but a game that's actually fun. I mean, it's a bit, he's reinventing the wheel really, because like obviously one-page rules have already done this, and I'll come to them in a bit. But again, I haven't looked at the rule set. I haven't really had time in my busy week, but it's quite interesting. And as I say, anything that gives something I'm a massive advocate of is you've said it in the chat. I think it was Cheese Me that said Games Workshop still do fantastic models. Do you know what? Games Workshop models are still probably some of the best in the world. They're a bit over detailed for painting. For me, they can make the hobby side a bit of a chore. You know, when I've painted my 50th pouch and buckle and belt and fucking grenade and oh my god, just stop. But they look amazing. They are beautifully produced in fantastic high quality plastic. They are not difficult generally to put together and assemble. You know, you can't really say Games Workshop don't smash the model game out of the fucking park, but their rules blow. Their rule sets absolutely blow at this point. And anything that gives somebody some other way to enjoy their models, I'm up for it. Yeah, Darren. I mean, I'm a bit like you, Darren. I prefer the old school look, the slightly comical orcs, the one-piece metal figures, some of the stuff that. I mean, if you want to see some middle, Peachy paints a lot of the crooked dice stuff, and their models, their one-piece metal models, have just got such character. They're so fucking good. But I mean, you and I are old school, mate. A lot of the new kids, they do like their crisp plastics. So, and you know, you can't argue with it. They do look damn good. This was quite an interesting little video. Didn't see this guy, Casual Hammerer. He's only got 500 subscribers. But this short little video is basically him making a great little table topper out of some, I think they're designed as like kitchen worktop slabs from IKEA. About 60 quid, but he creates an absolutely rock solid, substantial table topper that's basically 6x4. It's in 2 foot by 4 foot sections, actually 60 centimeter by 120 centimeter, so not exactly 6x4. But great little video, totally unpretentious, gets to the point, 8 minutes, job done, bish bash bosh. And to be honest, I currently only have a kitchen worktop to play on, which is fine because it's long, but it's very narrow. So I'm seriously considering getting a couple of these and throw myself a 4x4 together, because it looks dead easy and they're really substantial for like, I don't know, 20 quid each, whatever they are. So great little video. Now then, this is also an interesting video. So I've done Good Enough Gaming. Is a guy. This guy basically does one-page rules. He covers a lot. Hey, that's what she said. This guy basically covers one-page rules. So he does a lot of one-page rule updates. He does a lot of one-page rule battle reports. But this is the first time I've ever seen somebody doing a video recommending rule changes for one-page rules. So, you know, sort of like saying that, oh, the rules for wounds and morale tests don't work for big vehicles and big monsters, and maybe this should be changed. And it's, do you know what? You could say, oh, look, people are always making these sort of videos about changing rules. We do it all the time. How our thoughts on how you can make a game better or improve it. But I just thought it made me chuckle inside, thinking, they're coming for you now, OPR. even your games aren't good enough now. But I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not a negative video. This guy loves the game, and he's obviously, you know, it's like he said, he's played 200 plus games of Grimdark Future and Age of Fantasy this year. So he's got a lot of OPR under his belt, mainly for his channel, and he's just got some good thoughts. So yeah, that's the stuff that I've been looking at on the internet this week. Let's go back to the main view. So yeah, that's that done. Yeah, I was thinking that. It's now 9:15. I've waffled on the news, you see. Padded the time out. Getting good at this. So, let's... you got it right. Night, Darren. Good night, mate. Let's get into the... let's not make this video total clickbait. Let's talk a bit about AMG and the Star Wars games. So, first thing to say is Disney have screwed the pooch when it comes to the actual cinematic offerings for the Star Wars universe. The last thing I watched was Force Awakens. and I am not about to pay for Disney Channel just to go and watch all. No, that's a lie. I did see. What was the prequel one? Not the one. What was the Star Wars movie? There was the lead up to A New Hope, where the people trying to steal the Death Star plans. What was that called? Cheese me. What was that movie called? Because that was the last one I saw. Rogue One. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, Rogue One, which I think I'm correct in saying was quite well received and got quite positive feedback from fans. I mean, it wasn't bad, but again, yeah. So Force Awakens, I was like, no, I'm not interested anymore. It just was boring. And Rogue One was fine, but I knew how the story ended, so again, yeah, fine. And the blind guy was just like weird. Turning the trilogy into a quartet, yeah. I need to go back and watch the original trilogy actually, because I haven't seen them for years, and I was obsessed with them as a teenager. So, oh, well done. As I say, Cheese Me, Force Awakens was just so much of a remake of the first one. I was just not fucking bothered with it. Yeah, Shark. That Disney. I don't think Disney have got anywhere to go with it now. Effectively, they've destroyed it. I don't know. Maybe people will tune in for another one if they do another series or another show, but I don't know. I certainly won't be paying. You see, again, the problem they've got is now everything's paywalled, and you see nothing but negativity. I paid good money to go and see Force Awakens in the cinema, and I was like, man, I'm not paying this money to go and see another film like this. Thank you. No, not good enough, I'm afraid. And now everything is paywalled. I'm like, I might give Andor. Everybody says is quite a good show. I might give that a show. I might give Kenobi a try. I might give Mandalorian a try. But I'm not paying. Not after what I've seen. It's like you're not getting my money. I'm not doing it. And the problem is so the inevitable consequence of this is when you've got a third party IP like Star Wars and you're trying to build a community of gamers on it. I know. Mate, I've seen so much negativity about how all of this shit. There's no way I'm paying money, Cheese Me. If I can get to see them for free without. I mean, again, I can't even be bothered to break the law and download them from pirate.com or whatever. It's like, I'm like, that is more work than I can be arsed with because I'm fairly sure the payoff is going to be so fucking bad. Do you know what I mean? What they need to do, if they put what they should do is give episode 1 of each of the series to Amazon to screen or Netflix to screen for free. Or put them up on some sort of like fucking Disney free zone, episode 1. And there's the acid test. If your shows are good, put episode 1 up for free. Yeah? Then when you see people pouring money into your fucking business because they want to see the other 7, 8 episodes, whatever, you've got a banger. If you haven't got the courage or the fucking conviction to do that, here is the news. Your stuff is shit, probably. And you know it's shit. Anyway. Yeah, the thing is, it's it's bollocks. Anyway, the problem, but this comes to the problem, right? That those third-party IPs thrive on what you're relying on is people to look at a gaming product and buy into it totally because of the IP that's backing it. If it's a good game, that's a bonus. But the first thing that is going to stand up in front of the customer is the IP and the theme. And if it's if the IP is being butchered in its public aspects, like the Disney cinematic shit, you're knackered. You're dead in the water, because everything that you're trying to do, the person who holds the IP is working against you. They're just creating negativity. They're creating mockery and ridicule. And it just makes it impossibly hard. And I feel sad because I have such a strong attachment to the original Star Wars movies. I mean, literally, I can remember going to see the original New Hope's Episode 4 in the Grantham Flea Pit Cinema with my parents and my brother. I do not know how old I would be. 7? When did it come out? 78? 77? So I'd be 6 or 7 years old. I might have been older if it was later than that. Somebody do some Google foo. When did New Hope come out? And one of my biggest toy collections when I was a kid, up until like 14, 15, was Star Wars. I owned everything pretty much. Anything I didn't own, my brother owned, or my mate Chris down the road owned. We had it all: the Ewok Village, the AT-ATs, the Snow Speeders, the Falcon, the fucking everything. 77, thank you, yeah. So I probably went to see it either 77 or early 78. So I'd be about 7 years old. 6 or 7 years old. And I can still remember going. I can still remember going to see that film. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And that, and what they're doing to the cinematic stuff now makes my heart, it just tears my heart out. But more importantly, it frustrates me because I really want to game in that. Okay, I really want to recreate the battle for Endor and the battle for the battle on Hoth. I want to recreate those things on the tabletop, and I want to be enthusiastic about doing that. I think the reason that it's like letting X-Wing and Armada die. So that we've talked about the movies, okay? The reality of the gaming franchise is that AMG and Fantasy Flight had too many Star Wars games, okay? So you had large scale space combat Armada, you had small scale space combat X-Wing, you had Legion, which is the mid to large scale, well, sort of like mid to large scale land battle game, and now they've released Shatterpoint, which is the handful of models skirmish style game. On top of that, they've got a fuck ton of, they've been through Star Wars Destiny, now there's Star Wars Unlimited, which are these scalable card games with a collectible aspect that again are just money pits designed to to basically bleed you of as much cash as possible. And you know what? That's business. I can't be too bitter about. I'm not going to be too salty about that. Business is business, and you can't if companies can't make money, they won't do stuff, and they won't give us nice things to play with. We can't have nice things unless other people can make a lot of profit. That's the brutal truth. out of the Star Wars games, the AMG did, or Final Fantasy Flight, the only Star Wars game I really did in any serious way was X-Wing, and I fucking loved it. Okay, first edition X-Wing, I bought tons of that game. I think it was a really well executed game. It was fun to play. The fact that everything was pre-painted was brilliant. But the mistakes, here's my first thought. When you have a restricted IP game and you are starting to run out of things to market, let it die. Okay? Do not try to re-envision it. Do not try to create a new edition. I'll be honest. Evening, Tim. You can give us your thoughts. We've just started on the main topic. We've absolutely crucified the Disney's handling of the cinematic Star Wars stuff. Now we're just starting to take a bite out of Fantasy Flight and AMG for their handling of the game licenses. So I loved first edition X-Wing, but when yeah, there's more to follow, Cheeseman. There's more to come, mate. That's fine. Did you win, by the way, Tim? Did you win? Like I said, if you've got a restricted IP and you've marketed everything, you've marketed all the big hitters, you're starting to scratch at the edges for the, random bounty hunter number 3 standing. If you look at the scene 10 minutes into the movie, standing at the back with a weird bulbous head, we're doing him next. If you've got that to that point, let the game die, kill it, finish it, done with it. What I think Fantasy Flight should do with their Star Wars license is come up with a brilliant game, one game, and focus on it. So come up with a Star Wars license. It's like, for me, the sensible thing to do at the moment is kill everything but Shatterpoint. Let Legion die. Legion's had a great run. They've already run out of ideas for what the fuck to make with it. None of the new stuff from the new series will generate any interest whatsoever. People don't give a tinker's jizz about the new cinematic stuff. It just will not work. What they will do, I'm going to call it now with Legion 2, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm calling it now. I think it will go the same way as it did with X-Wing. X-Wing was really good. The transition to second edition was as awkward as fuck, with the bulk packs where you had to rebuy all your assets and they couldn't print enough and nobody could get them. And then when they were releasing stuff for the second edition, it was like, well, you've got the black TIE Interceptor. Now we've got the veteran red TIE Interceptor with the weird veteran X bomber, and you're just fucking struggling, guys. Yeah, you pushed it too far. They should have said it was a roaring success. We've run out of ideas. We're done. Here's Legion. And put all of your eggs in it, everything into it, right? And they should do this with Shatterpoint now. They should say Legion's had its day, Armada's had its day, X-Wing's had its day. Put the whole AMG should have enough on their plate designing the best fucking game that they can and making it Shatterpoint. Just let them do that. Yeah? Throw everything at it and just make your money. But then have a plan, because you will eventually do to Shatterpoint what you've done to all of your other games. You will milk it to the point where you're being ridiculous. So make it a 5-year project. Plan its obsolescence. Yeah? I don't understand why these companies don't do this. Because surely what they go through, surely what they go through with these painful fucking trying to milk it. Oh, we're going to do revision 2.0 and we need you to rebuy everything. So can you just rebuy all of those stormtroopers because the sculpts are slightly crisper? Look. They're not going to do it. Nobody is going to be rebuying. When Legion 2.0 launches, right? Who do they think missed out on Legion exactly? Yeah, and I bet it works for them, Shark. Because again, they don't want to take over the world. They just want to do something as profitably as possible and build a loyalty and a customer base. And again, AMG could do this because AMG could have like a killer Marvel license. It's like Crisis Protocol. They've already tried to revise. They sort of like they took away the Lost Leading starter set and remade the Marvel Crisis Protocol starter set, nearly doubled its price. You know, they've released a lot of the MCU classic figures. They must be getting to the point now where that's done. But rather than labour the point, so here's Tim's. Tim's valid. This is why we should have had Tim at the start of this. I'm going to scroll back. Sorry, guys. I'm going to scroll back because Tim is the man on this stuff. So AMG should have created a fourth Star Wars mini to begin with, and the FFG only should kept the word. A fourth Star Wars miniatures game. Oh, what you mean, like a kill team equivalent for? You mean bring it in when they launched Legion, Tim? Oh, Tim lost. Damn. Again, the card game. Do you mean Destiny, or is there another game that I'm thinking of? The one with the dice in it? And Imperial Assault. Imperial Assault was a brilliant game. And it was, again, Imperial Assault was brilliant because it did have skirmish rules, I think, in the back of the rule book, but nobody ever played it. Everybody played it for what it was, which was a great little episodic board game. To let games run, and it was more than they could chew on. I don't think they should, mate. I think the problem is with these restricted IP games, there's only so much you can do with them. And when you hit these reset points, it's like I was watching a video from the the guys at Lords and War and Hobbies, and they were saying the thing with like 40k, when 40k needs a new edition, they just come up with a fuck ton of new models or launch a new faction. You know, it's like when they needed to revivify interest during 9th edition, let's wheel out the Leagues of Votan. Let's have a shit ton new fucking Thousand Suns models. Let's have some new Gene Stealer cult shit. Do you know what I mean? Guys on dirt bikes. When Games Workshop want to generate interest and spice things up because they've hit a bit of a lull, they've got tools to do it. When you've got a restricted IP game, you haven't got anything. All you've got is, please buy everything again. Or if you didn't buy it the first time, please buy it this time. And it's like, who the fuck do they think is going to buy this stuff the second time around? It's not going to be people who are excited about the IP because of what they've seen on telly, is it? And certainly, when what they have seen on telly is a load of fucking nonsense that's got nothing to do with large-scale land battles. It's all the most bizarre fucking character interaction weirdness. You know, it might be the kind of stuff that does maybe feed well into fucking Shatterpoint with like small groups of very unique characters. But I can't imagine it's going to feed into a mass combat game. I mean, we haven't seen fucking Star Wars Waterloo the movie, have we? Since AMG has upped the unit size in Legion, people want more minis. You see, again, that seems to me a really fucking lame thing. Are you saying, Tim, that they've basically... Because, again, this is the kind of thing that they resort to. So what you're saying is that they want people... The way that they're saying people have to buy more models is that now unit sizes are bigger. So you're going to have to rebuy everything because now you need twice as many of them. They already had Legion, Armada, and X-Wing. Adding Shatterpoint was useless. The LCG Star Wars. Yeah, but again, I don't think it's doing particularly well. Again, Games Workshop, I think, have made a mistake there, Tim. I mean, from the stuff I've seen on the internet, is the initial starter box did sell quite well for nostalgia, but all of the new stuff, the Orc stuff's been a complete fucking washout. Yeah, so that's the kinds. I mean, 40K's always doing that, aren't they? It's sort of like, I remember watching a video once, somebody was talking about games in 9th edition versus 7th edition, and like, because of the way they'd crept down the cost of everything, you needed 25% more models to make 22,000 point force. So it was like they were basically just making you buy more to play the same game by making everything cheaper. It's like, and I it's fine, you know. I guess that is a strategy, but it's a bit fucking. I just wonder at these companies that when they actually sit around the table and they're like, so what's the plan for the next quarter, or what's the plan for the next year? Well, we haven't got anything else to release. We can resculpt a few things and relaunch them. Or here's another thought: just make everybody buy more stuff by making it cheaper in the game. It's sort of like, really, when that comes out of your mouth, somebody should be like, I've got an idea. Let's design a new game, wind this up over the next 6 months, and launch something new. Does that sound like a plan? Does that sound like an idea, guys? Fuck me. So, I mean, from what I know, from what I hear, Legion's actually a good game. Tim, have you played Shatterpoint yet? You missed a bit of me talking at the beginning of the show about Shatterpoint. Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're dead right. This is why, I think your strategy has to be so much different. If you're buying a limited IP and you're planning to make a product, you have to have, surely, you need to be conscious of the fact that it won't last forever. I mean, yeah, okay, so the cost puts you off. I mean, I played it. The guy, one of the Tom, introduced me to our gaming club this week, and I'll be honest, I think it may be a bit too random to be really satisfying to play regularly. But as a beer and pretzels game, it had a lot to recommend it, and it had some satisfying little gamer moments where you could, oh, that means I can do a move over there, hit that guy, and then jump twice, and I'm on top of that piece of terrain and controlling that objective. Do you know what I mean? It had some nice little, oh, I feel really good about doing that. That was really cool. Yeah. Yeah, but I know, I get the money thing, mate. I get the money thing. Having said that, the starter set's being fire sailed everywhere. So, um, I mean, I've seen the starter set as cheap as 80 quid. Um, uh, sort of Carnivale way. It yeah. I tell you what, it does have in common with Carnivale. It's a very movement-based game. So Carnivale, a lot of fun can be had in the movement mechanics, because they're more than just I move X inches, that's me done. Because you've got rules for like jumping on and off terrain. Keep your eyes open, Tim. I'm sure, because I think they've massively overprinted it, and I think that it's not doing as well as they hoped. So keep your eyes peeled. I think you might get lucky. And if you do see it cheap, I would recommend it's worth a punt, because I think you'd enjoy it as long as you're into the whole wider universe stuff. Because like the problem with it for me is I was saying this earlier to the guys on stream, I'm only interested in the original trilogy, New Hope, Empire, Jedi. I mean, I've already said I will probably buy some of the models from those movies just so that I've got. So if somebody says, "Do you want to play Shatterpoint?" I can say, "Oh yeah, I've got some stuff." I'm not about to build my own terrain collection, buy my own fucking starter set, do any of that. But I think I could definitely be tempted to buy some stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, here, let's bring this into the. We've been talking about restricted IPs, and my contention is that making an edition refresh or pushing a restricted IP game beyond a certain point is financial and business suicide, or if not suicide, it's a fruitless endeavor that will only eat away at the money you made in the past. You need to know when to quit. What does everybody think about the new edition of Middle Earth Strategy Battle game by Games Workshop? I personally have the same worry. I don't think that. I mean, I think that it's still ticking over for them, and the fact that it is such a good game and they are such a good company in terms of models, making models and that sort of thing. I think that their reputation and their sheer talent has kept it alive. Does it have any potential for a massive upsurge and uplift with a new edition? Does it? I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's the same problem. I I just think that whatever effort they put into relaunching it, yeah, that's fair, Tim. That is fair. It is preposterously expensive. Um, so yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, your point about Dungeon Bowl is really good, because all of the spin-offs or variations around Blood Bowl, Dungeon Bowl, what was the other one? Sevens is like a different play. There is another one, isn't there? There was Dungeon Bowl and another version of it. What was the other one? Oh, was it? Yeah, didn't it have factions, or was that Dungeon Bowl? They had a faction-based version, so you could play like elves and dwarves and that together. Or was that Dungeon Bowl? Was that factions? But they work as games. But again, they're very small scope. You know, it's not the same thing at all. Dungeon Bowl and Blood Bowl are a side project for GW. There was Dungeon Bowl. Maybe I'm thinking there was a third version and there wasn't. Blitz Bowl was like a simple, like, bloody Target version, wasn't it? Or Barnes and Noble is it in the US? Blitz Bowl. Yeah. Well, this is, and again, particularly, right, okay, one of the reasons Games Workshop do their stupid codex system where you have to buy 50 fucking pound books every time your army takes a cold shower is because they don't want printed assets in the model boxes. They don't want your model boxes to have a shelf life where if there's an addition, change, or a revision, that a lot of it gets fucking made redundant. And one of the problems with the way Malifaux ran into the same issue transitioning from second to third. I refer everybody to the Malifaux video I spoke about earlier. When you've got boxes on the shelves with card assets in, that will go out of date or can potentially just go out of date because of things changing, then you need to you need to fix how do you fix that? And you then have like you've got to buy a card pack with all the reprinted cards for the new edition, and it starts to create logistical. This was the X-Wing fucking problem, wasn't it? Oh well, we're changing second edition, so now you've got to buy the conversion pack with all the new cards and shit, and the movement wheels. Yeah. Yeah, they will release card packs, I guess. But and that's why again X-Wing is such a, and then to fucking with X-Wing they tried again. It's like it's not dead. Version 2.5. Change it again. Completely different list building, new mission format. It's like stop. Yeah, no, that's fine. See you later, Shark. I did say at the beginning we're probably going to be winding up a little bit early. We've done well, you know. I never thought. It just goes to show how much bollocks I can talk when I'm left unrestrained, and unfettered by David's more cogent fucking input. Yeah, I just think that I think the only Star Wars game that's got any long-term life in it is potentially Shatterpoint, and it's because um, it's only just started on its journey in a way. I think uh, uh, the models are good enough, the game is good enough that people will buy into it. I think whatever they try and do with Legion, I just don't think it'll do as well as it did the first time, because I think it did quite well, from what I know about it. I just don't think it'll do as well again, and I just think that they'll end up putting resource into it that would be better served in their other IP games. Do you know what I mean? And if there's one thing that I hope the industry learns is that, yeah, but this is the thing. It's like Aliens, right? Gale Force 9 are not doing a bad job at the moment with the Aliens franchise. The Glorious Day in the Core. There's a couple of expansions, I believe. It's not got huge yet. It is very much still focused around the board game thing. They haven't sort of like, we could do a full-on miniatures war game of this. You know, we could go fucking mad here. I think, I guess it's what you guys, I think Shark or somebody said, or maybe even Tim said earlier. The problem is when a company like AMG buys a license, they want to milk it because it's a fucking expensive thing to do. They want to milk it for as much as they can, which is why you get them saying, well, we can have this game, and then we can do this game, and then we could do this game, and then we could do this game, all off the same license. And they're like, because the other thing is, people have said, it's been said that obviously the problem with the Star Wars franchise games is that a lot of them cannibalize themselves in the same way that 40K and Epic did. You know, the reason Games Workshop fell out of love with the idea of an Epic scale 40K game was that all it did was cannibalize their own players. You know, they found a load of people just moved from game A to game B. And that's because even if the games are affordable, as hobbyists and wargamers, we only have so much fucking time. So it's inevitable. It's like you can sort of see why. I mean, again, I look at Armada. I played a couple of games of Armada and I thought it's fine, but why would I play it? I play X-Wing and I own a shitload of X-Wing. It's like, why I can't fathom for the life of me why they launched it. Because all it was likely to do was cannibalize X-Wing players and shorten the profits that they would make from that, plus add a shit ton more design and development cost. I don't get it. And because I don't buy, and if somebody wants to tell me, oh yeah, well the audiences were very separate and largely unique, don't buy it. Do not buy it for a minute. Well, to be honest with you, Tim, if I was, I don't know, product development at AMG, that's exactly what I would do. I would let Legion die respectfully and, you know, with a grace. And you know what then I would do? I would start designing a 10mm Star Wars mass combat game. You want to create a fucking Gungan army to do the fucking Battle of Naboo? We've got you at 10mm, whatever. And just launch an entirely new product. Start the hype train up again. Now, people will buy all that shit. Even if they've got Legion, they'll still buy that shit. Because now you're saying, well, actually, how would you like to do the Battle of Hoth? 7 AT-ATs marching across the fucking board, emplaced units of fucking Hoth troopers and rebels. Fucking people would be all over that shit. Don't, you know. No, but what I'm saying is, even if you're saying, oh, well, we can't just have one Star Wars game. Oh, Mita Nota! Do you know what? The point I was making, Trevor, was, I mean, again, if I was in charge at AMG, I would put that fucker on the back burner, and when Shatterpoint looks like it's sputtering its last, that's what I'd go with. I'd be like, right, okay, that one's dead. Quick, wheel this one in. Yeah? Because the brutal truth of it is, there is the Star Wars fandom. And then within the Star Wars fandom is the tiny little bit of Star Wars fandom that can be asked to recreate the Star Wars universe in miniature with complicated tabletop rule systems. That group of people is already dwarfed 1,000-fold by people who want to play computer games with a Star Wars theme. You know, why would you want fucking 5 Star Wars tabletop games? That pond is fucking tiny. I can understand why you'd want a Star Wars first-person shooter, a Star Wars real-time strategy simulator, a Star Wars... I can understand why you'd want that, because the computer game market is fucking massive. But that doesn't fucking translate to little toy soldiers, does it? You know, there's only 8 of us. I don't know. We've nearly come to our time. Let's wind this series show up with some sort of decorum. I hope this has been fun. Without my co-host, I hope it hasn't detracted too much from the experience. As normal for one of our live streams, I would like to thank our audience, the chat over here, as usual. Couldn't have done the show without these guys. Very much it's their show as much as mine. If you can only find time to do one thing, then please click the like button, because that just gives us that little bit of nudge in the YouTube algorithm, and more importantly, it tells me that there are people who enjoy what we do. And I'm, at the end of the day, I want to feel that people find value and enjoy this. That's why I do it. One thing I would say is, obviously, what do you think about Star Wars and gaming? Or you could even answer the bigger question about these restricted IPs and the way that these companies market the games, the whole strategy for development. Am I completely mad? Is there a logic to it that I'm not seeing? Comments section is open for business. Let's have everybody's input. And I really do. I'm interested to see what people think about Middle Earth Strategy Battle Game. Great game, love it. Own a bit of it, played some of it. Do I think it's got enough life left in it for another go? Not sure. Still, I think with that we better be close to finishing. I am going to quickly though pop up the chat again. Because annoyingly, I can't see the bleeding chat. Congrats, thanks very much, Tim. 100 subs. Yes, I'm mad, but that's beside the point. And the other thing that I might be completely wrong on, and it was something that I did peg my hat on, am I completely wrong about the Disney cinematic Star Wars stuff? Is it fueling enough interest that we will have thousands of people going, "Oh, Star Wars on the tabletop, that's super cool, that"? Or is there just like no crossover there, which I strongly suspect, the way that the shows have wandered off into the fucking wilderness of their own fucking making. Again, I don't know. I mean, from what little I know from the clips I've seen and the excerpts on the internet, shows like The Mandalorian and fucking what was that? The one that Andor. They might be better as bloody little skirmish games like the Fallout games. It seems to me, with Modiphius's model, might seem a better suited way to market currently a Star Wars game. Yeah, they're just screwing it. Yeah, so Ahsoka's another good one, is it, Tim? Yeah, like I say, I would definitely give them a chance if I didn't have to put my hand in my pocket. I am so wary though. Yeah. Did Disney do a free trial week? I wonder if I can binge all of it. Anyway, with that thought in our minds, let's go and do something more productive with our time than rant and rave at the internet. Hope you guys have a good week of gaming, and I'll see you next week for another show.